How's it going? I'm in Bangkok. This is the condo that I got for 6 months. I'm gonna be here for 6 months, working, not traveling. Even though this is Thailand and Thailand is beautiful, haven't really been able to travel anywhere yet outside of the city. Just little day trips inside the city. Weekends, getaways. Getaways as in like to a couple kilometers away, not like to beaches or anything. But why am I here? I mean, this is the other part of my life that you guys don't see. You know, people think it's always 2 beers and one backpack, but it's half the time it's 2 Adderalls, one laptop, 2 caffeine pills, one laptop. It's just why am I here? Well, I wanted to do something different with my life. I was very tired. So first of all, maybe like a little bit about my background. Like I've been trying to start companies, little startups for maybe the past 2 years since I quit my corporate job maybe last year. But really I haven't been able to get anywhere. And one of the major reasons is that I'm always looking for someone. I'm always looking for a partner to work with. And I had a lot of people in mind that were down to work with me, but then they flaked, or a lot of my time was getting wasted on trying to convince other people. But I've come to the realization that you can't do that. Life does not wait for you. You have to take action. You have to get started. And the reason I was looking for a partner was because my partner would have complementary skills to mine. So my background is in physics and mechanical engineering. That's what I worked in. That's what I studied. So I lack the skills of software to be able to launch something in that dimension. And the world is really moving in that direction. So it's pretty hard to stick to only mechanical startups. However, I can teach myself these skills, which is eventually what I decided to do, because I waited for a lot of people to finally be ready and join me, but crazy things happened. In fact, a lot of my friends that I thought would come with me are not even my friends anymore. That's just a fact of life. This is a lonely journey in your 20s. The beginning of your 20s is the opposite of lonely. You're in college, you got all the people that are aligned with you. You're in this like bubble where everyone thinks, where it's very easy to find people who think similarly. But as you move out, the tree is spreading and people move apart, and it becomes harder to be in touch with your old friends. And also people are moving in different directions. So, your like separation is increasing. And then you just become like one person amongst 7 billion in the world. And it becomes very hard to see where similar people are. Then it becomes a lonely journey until you get to your 30s. If you have hopefully made it by the time you're in your 30s, then it becomes easier to find people that are similar to you, because during your 25 to 30 arc, I guess, your expedition, everyone makes different moves, and those different moves are separating you guys because you're making different moves. But if you ultimately end up in the same destination, even though you took different directions, then that's where you meet in your 30s once again. Well, what does that mean for me? So in my mid-20s, I'm living this life by myself. And for me, what made the most sense was to move to Bangkok, where I can actually be by myself and focus on things that I want to do in this life. And that's the reason I'm doing this vlog, because I want to document my journey and see if in 3-4 years, when I get to my 30s, will I have made the right moves? Really, the goal of this documentary, this is kind of like going to be a different style than my other travel videos, because there may not be anything exciting. It's just a documentation of my life, and I don't know how much I'm going to edit these. You should probably watch them on double speed, because it's just a documentation of regular everyday life. But I find it, if I do make it, if I do achieve the goals that I want to achieve, in 2, 3 years, 4 years, this will be a valuable documentary because you will see exactly how I did it, you know, how my life was like in order to make that happen. A lot of times, you know, in our day and age, you see a lot of people, these like influencers who are like, you got to do this to live like me, and they're in front of their Lamborghinis or like their villas in Bali, and you don't really know if they are just, you know, their family is rich, so they're just living off of that. Are they actually, you know, did they actually achieve something, or are they just renting their cars and villas and taking videos and then selling you that lifestyle, and with that money they're just rinsing and repeating, so then they're just basically faking it until you make it, you know. I'm not like that. I've never been a person who cares about showing off or like trying to get rich at the expense of other people. I'm actually trying to build stuff, you know. Just a digital nomad, you know. I don't really know how to classify myself. I have a lot of interests, you know. It's kind of like the ADD stereotype. It's just you. Who am I? I don't know. Entrepreneur, traveler, YouTuber, engineer. I like snowboarding. I go skydiving sometimes. Adventurer, you know. Just have a lot of hobbies, but this is my life, you know, and I'm documenting my life in hopes that it's going to be useful to someone when I make it in my 30s. Yeah. What else? Well, I mean, as I live through Bangkok, I'll show more like of the city and maybe some of the interesting things I do. But this, I'm thinking, is gonna be like a 6 month. I'm here for 6 months, basically. So I got this condo. This is one of the most expensive condos that you can get here. Of course, the room is the smallest, but it's in one of the most expensive condos. It's called Park Origin. I pay about like $700 a month to be here, which is great, you know. If I were not doing this, I would have to get a roommate in the US, or, you know, live with my parents or something, which, you know, it's fine. I've done that before. But, you know, when I came here, I realized that one of the biggest advantages of living here is the fact that you can sustain a life on your own. Because other people and your parents, you know, I love other people, you know. I'm not trying to say, you know, fuck everyone else, live on your own. But if you're trying to focus on stuff, if you're not where you want to be in life yet, then you need to hear that like inner voice and your inner direction, and you need to follow that, because that's the only way you're going to be happy and successful. And for you to be able to hear that inner voice, you need to be quiet around, you know. Other people are a distraction. But of course you need other people too. Like, it can't be so lonely, you know. You don't want to end up killing yourself. Well, anyways, let me tell you about my routine. You know, I wake up, this is my bed, and then I immediately get to my desk. I have a big calendar here where I plan my long 1 year calendar. I just started doing this. I find it very useful because you can actually see how time is passing by. You know, you say, what I do today? You know, I change this and this in my startup. Well, that take a fucking day. Well, yeah, or like you see, like for the past 3 days, I've been trying to do this, you know. Or you can see like this, if this takes 2 weeks, if this project takes 2 weeks, this, that, whatever. It's just useful. Well, I wake up and then I don't eat any food. So right now I'm fasting, and I work straight 8 hours and then 2 hours of gym. So that's 10 hours, and that leaves me 6 hours to be completely free, happy, whatever, to socialize, see other people. But I get this 10 hours of productivity basically every day. And what that means is actual productivity, you know, because before I used to work 16 hours. But you know, when you try to work 16 hours, you check your phone, you get distracted, this, that, whatever, and you end up wasting 6 hours. So might as well properly work for 10 hours and then fully enjoy 6 hours. I think that makes more sense. And 10 hours a day is 70 hours a week of like actual fucking productive time. You know, that's pretty good. You know, I guess the benchmark is like 80 hours a week. But this is like solid 70 hours. Actually, and I also say like you should take one day off to reflect, and that's in fact healthy, I would say, for you to be able to actually look around and realize where you're going. Because, you know, I had an internship in my sophomore year, and it was pretty much a useless internship in terms of like ever getting me a job or like really picking up real life skills or engineering skills. But I wrote a paper on particle swarm optimization. I didn't know what it was, but they told me write a paper on this. And I did a bunch of research. And what it is basically imagine a bunch of drones. Imagine 100 drones, and they're trying to survey a field to find a person. Should they be doing more exploring, or if they find a similar match, should they be narrowing down? And basically there's a trade-off between that, because if you narrow down before you've done enough exploring, there's a chance that you might end up in what you would call like a local minimum, or a local maximum, but not the global maximum. You know, this person, well, imagine like you got a mountain and you're trying to find the highest point in the mountain. And what you do is, but the problem is you might get caught up in these local maximums. You know, if the mountain is like this, then you might be stuck here because you come here and you say, okay, this is the highest point, but you haven't done enough exploring to see that there's actually a higher point here. Well, the point being, life is also like this. You know, you're trying to head to a direction, but you don't know where you're going because you don't know the entire landscape. So what you do is you make decisions and you say, should I move in this direction? Should I move in that direction? But before you decide to move in a direction, before you narrow down, you have to do a little bit of exploring to make sure that you're not settling in a local maximum instead of the global maximum that you're trying to find. And basically what this paper taught me is that there's a trade-off between that. All of the efficient algorithms, they do the exploring initially. Of course, that's what makes sense. You know, you first do a bit of exploring, but if you explore too much, then you're also wasting time. You know, you're not fast enough. There's a perfect coefficient that tells you how much exploring you should do and how much drilling down you should do. And that's why in their 20s, people explore the world, try to find, you know, get as good of a picture of the field as possible, and then decide where you want to drill down. As you move later in life, you already know kind of what the field is, so you can drill down more confidently. But then in your 20s, you should kind of see the world, try different things. That's the whole point. That's why they tell people to do that. And it's true, you really should. That's what I did when I was 19. I took a semester off of school, 19, 20, and I went around the world, you know, living very cheap, sometimes working in exchange for a place to stay, you know, worked in hostels, and, you know, went to Asia, Europe, all these places that I've never been to before. And that's kind of what started my travel addiction. But back to the point, the same thing applies a little bit in your micro life. You know, when you work for a week, if you consider your work week as a week, for 6 days, if you're drilling down, it makes a little bit of sense to look around and say, wait a second, where am I going? Oh, right. And, you know, like to process all the new information that you got from 6 days of drilling, because you don't want to keep drilling. It's like missing your exit in the highway, you know? You're stepping on the gas, that's good. But every once in a while, we got to look around and be like, wait, was there an exit that I was supposed to take? So I guess that's the 1 day of relaxation and contemplation. I think 1 in 6 is a good ratio, and 60 hours a week of work is also pretty good. I don't think it's a big sacrifice, you know. If you really try to go for 1 week a day, you'll probably go for less, because, you know, I haven't taken a day off in the past 6 days, so I'm overdue for my contemplation, actually, because that's what ends up happening. You're always like, let me just finish this one last task, and then So, shoot for one a week, I guess. Um,